So the question is, which National Football League quarterback is actually under the most pressure in the upcoming season? I cannot wait to talk a little National Football League football with you today. It is Saturday, July 22nd, 6 p.m.-ish when this was recorded. Welcome to the House of Takes. I'm Dave DeBon. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the show. Not bragging or anything here, but we're almost at 800 subscribers on this particular channel. Please go ahead and subscribe and, of course, like this video. On to the content we go. So today we are going to talk about the top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League who I think are under the most pressure. Now, before we do that, I did want to point out something that happened a little bit earlier in the week. Now, we're putting up on the screen right now a picture of Kirk Cousins. And yes, I am a Minnesota Viking fan, but I don't just like randomly put up pictures of Kirk Cousins because I'm like most fans in the National Football League. I consider Kirk Cousins to be an okay quarterback. Now, earlier in the week, Patrick Mahomes came out and said that Kirk Cousins is the most underrated quarterback of all quarterbacks in the National Football League. And sure, maybe that had something to do with the media junket that him and that is Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes were on, supporting their new Netflix series called Quarterback. I haven't actually finished the whole series yet. I am 3 episodes in, but it is actually done really well. Now, the stats that we're looking at basically take into account the things you would probably look at except for playoff wins, because like Lamar Jackson, like Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins also only has 1 playoff win. Now, if you ask most people on the street who's a better quarterback, Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson, and you were to say, are they better than Kirk Cousins? I think everybody would say yes to that question. Look, Dak Prescott, who I think is actually a fair comparison to Kirk Cousins, has actually won 2 playoff games. You have to remember that playoff victories are not on the shoulders of quarterbacks when their teams don't have a good defense. Look, Mike Zimmer was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings for years. And of course, we know that Kirk Cousins had a lot of issues. The defense got even worse last season. And I have to say, heading into this year, if I were to bet on anything, I would say that the Minnesota Vikings defense would end up in the top 5 worst defenses in the league at the end of the season. Not a lot to expect coming out of Minnesota with that defense this year. So completion percentage, passing yards, passing TDs, and passer ratings are all very good. They're all top 5 over the last 5 years. So when Patrick Mahomes talks, he actually does know what he's talking about. And I agree that Kirk Cousins, and I'm not a homer on this at all, and I've thought this for years, is a very good regular season quarterback, especially when he doesn't have to play late night football games, if you know what I mean. All right, on to the top 5 quarterbacks who are under the most pressure in the upcoming season. Now, in at number 1 is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson in Denver, we all know, had an absolutely horrific season last year. He had his own office. He had his own parking spot. He had his own trainers. He had all sorts of things that were supposed to provide the level of comfort for Russell Wilson last season. Look, comfort isn't what the National Football League is all about. And if Sean Payton can't turn Russell Wilson around, I don't think anybody can. I think Russell Wilson is under the most pressure of any quarterback in the National Football League. In at number 2 is Justin Fields. Look, the Chicago Bears continue to be bad. And Justin Fields is the only thing really that could save the Chicago Bears season. He's going to have to figure out how to stay healthy. He's going to have to figure out how to stay upright. He's going to have to get better at passing from the pocket. Look, having a passing percentage which is in the 50s is not a good thing for any National Football League quarterback that wants to extend his career. I think Justin Fields has a ton of talent. You can't put all the blame on him for the Chicago Bears being as bad as the Bears have been. But this is a year in which Justin Fields absolutely needs to shell out in the way that Jalen Hurts did last year. And of course, we all know that actually begins in the off season. Is Justin Fields putting in the necessary time he needs to become a great quarterback in the National Football League? Or is he doing car endorsements a la John Elway? Anyways, in at number 3, Tua. And no knock against Tua. When he came out of Alabama, I said that I thought Tua was going to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. I, of course, was wrong about that. I said that I thought Tua was done heading into last season. And I, of course, was wrong about that as well. I have been wrong every step of the way about Tua. The big question on Tua, as you all know, is can he stay healthy? If Tua can stay healthy, then they certainly have enough weapons on that Miami Dolphin team for Tua to actually deliver more than just a playoff berth. Look, Tua's under a lot of pressure to A, stay healthy, and B, get this Miami Dolphin team deep into the playoffs. Now, you might be sitting there going, DeBaugh, what the hell are you talking about? The AFC is just locked and loaded with a bunch of other better quarterbacks and a bunch of other quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes who have been to the Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow, who we all think eventually Joe Burrow's time will come as a Super Bowl champion. And we all know that we're sort of in the midst of greatness with Patrick Mahomes. It's unlike, he's different than Brady. As great as Brady was, Patrick Mahomes is a different style quarterback. Who would you rather watch play a quarterback, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes? Right? Once again, I used to love Jim Plunkett. I used to love Dan Fouts. But I loved him for different reasons. And the same thing can certainly be said about Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. So Tua's definitely, definitely under a lot of pressure. In at number 4 is Deshaun Watson. Mr. Guaranteed Money himself. Look, the Cleveland Browns, well, they're the Cleveland Browns, and have they done enough to change the fact that they are the Cleveland Browns? Is the Cleveland Browns jinx a real thing? Look, Deshaun Watson, now that he's had an entire offseason where he hasn't been so worried about pending lawsuits as he was the previous couple years, are we going to see the Deshaun Watson that proved he could lead a really bad football team into the playoffs? Deshaun Watson has a ton of skills. Same thing like Justin Fields. Will Deshaun Watson put in enough off-the-season practice? And I'm not just talking about working out. I'm talking about watching film. Has he spent enough time dissecting other defenses that he's going to be coming up across during the upcoming season? I know things change once the season starts, but it's not about that. It's about the effort, and it's about building the groundwork for becoming a truly great quarterback in the National Football League. Look, no matter what, Deshaun's going to get paid. So this isn't about the money. This is what happens if Deshaun Watson plays so bad that at some point during the season, he actually gets benched. And that, my friends, is an absolute reality. Look, in at number 5, is Aaron Rodgers. Now, I have to tell you, of the starting quarterbacks in the National Football League, you could make it the argument that at least 15 of them are under the most pressure in the National Football League. Trying to narrow this list down to 5 is very difficult. I chose Aaron Rodgers at number 5 simply to say that Aaron Rodgers, who plays in New York now, in the media capital of the world, that is before Twitter was born, is under a tremendous amount of pressure with the New York Football Jets, the New York Football Jets fans, and the media. If Aaron Rodgers delivers, then he will turn into basically a god in New York. Look, Aaron Rodgers is in a perfect position. When you look at the offensive line, which has gotten better during the offseason, we know that the Jets have a top 7 defense in the National Football League heading into the season. So in other words, the defense is really good. And the offense has a ton of weapons beyond just Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is in a perfect position to actually make a run at another Super Bowl. Yes, I know Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow are there, and there's that guy that my neighbor supports with his Buffalo Bills flag that he flies so proudly during the NFL season. But Aaron Rodgers, with everything that I just mentioned, is under a tremendous amount of pressure. It's not like Aaron Rodgers went to the, Cleveland Browns, went to the Carolina Panthers, went to the Atlanta Falcons. Look, Aaron Rodgers went to a team in New York. That's one thing. He also went to a team in New York that has a fantastic defense, at least on paper they do, and that has a bunch of young weapons on the offensive side of the ball outside of himself. Aaron Rodgers, as great as he has been, we all know, has only won 1 Super Bowl in his career. And Aaron Rodgers would love nothing more than to outdo Brett Favre. Look, don't you think for a second that Aaron Rodgers, following in the Brett Favre footsteps of going to New York and actually succeeding in New York where Brett Favre failed, is entirely on the table in Aaron Rodgers' mind when he goes back home to his house or apartment or cave and turns off the lights for 20 hours and contemplates what he needs to do next. Look, Brett Favre has always been on Aaron Rodgers' mind, and it absolutely was in his decision to go to the New York Football Jets in the first place. All right, that is it for today's episode of House of Takes. We are available on YouTube. We're available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, and a bunch of other places podcasts can be heard. If you are new to this show, I am Dave DeBaugh. Please go ahead and subscribe for the House of Takes. Once again, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.